In 2010, the government of Malta contracted the Foundation for Shelter and Support to Migrants, FSM, for the operation and the management of the Marsa Open Center. The Marsa Open Center is located at a former government trade school that was abandoned until it was put up as an open center in 2005 to cater for the lack of accommodation for migrants who were arriving mostly from sub-Saharan Africa. FSM had the responsibility to manage and to operate the center. However, when we had taken over the center, FSM had found the center in a very difficult situation. Firstly, the center had no perimeter wall, and therefore the first thing that you could see was that there was no control over who was a resident of the center and who was not a resident of the center. The second issue that we had was that because of the number of people who were living in the center, both legally and also irregularly, the facilities could not contain the number of people who were living in the center. So the facilities were run down. In 2010, when the foundation took over the running of the center, we were faced with mainly three issues. Number one, the overcrowding of the center as a result of the lack of perimeter security in the center. We did not know how many people were living in the center officially, and therefore there was overcrowding. Number two, the facility could not take the number of people who were living in the center. There were over 1,200 people residing at the center. So basically, in 2010, we had a situation which could be compared to a ghetto. Therefore, the immediate aim of FSM was to transform the Marsa Open Center into a proper accommodation facility for the residents by providing psychosocial support for people to deal with their trauma and education to facilitate their integration into Maltese society and eventually in Europe. The first steps that the foundation took in the transformation of the Marsa Open Center into a proper reception center was, first of all, to create an access control system. Whereas previously, people could come and go as they wish into the center, it was important that the foundation would establish the number of residents who were actually residents of the center. And therefore, we made up this system where we first of all had to build a security entrance system, a guard room, which was used as a control point. And the second thing was that we had to issue then ID cards to every resident. And therefore, now we have a system where no person who does not have a resident ID card of the Marsa Open Center was allowed into the center unless they had permission to enter.
My job here is as a security guard. Security guard job is to access the incoming and outgoing of residents and to control the place.
The next challenge that the foundation was faced with was to transform the shops and the bars that had been erected in the center as a result of the lack of security and lack of access control into service points. And therefore, the first thing that we had to do was to create an education and information center. From this education and information center, we could start providing courses for people for their integration in society, but also to provide relevant and timely needed information for residents. The second thing that we had to do was to create offices for our staff. First, we had to create a social work office where social workers could then be able to have an individual care plan for our residents. Then we had to create also a place of work for our care workers who are supposed to take responsibility for the day-to-day inspection and the day-to-day mediation between the residents and the management.
As a social worker at Marsa Open Center is there to help residents who come from the detention to build up their lives. It is very important that there are social workers at Marsa Open Center because the needs of the residents grow practically every day. I've seen great changes here at the Marsa Open Center. I've seen structural changes and even the changes in the management of how things go on at Marsa. I'm sure these were changes that were meant to show a lot of respect and dignity to our residents so that they will find it more easier to build their life and to lead a peaceful life while they are here with us for a year.
In my role, I take care of the support services, which are other than accommodation, okay? And basically, it's about education, recreation, employment, mental health, and general health support. So in this work, it's obviously very important because the migrants coming here and starting their life from scratch have no background on what to go on. So we are here to help them build, if they don't speak the language, build a CV, how to send their CV for employment. First, they need to be healthy in order to work, in order to build their life. So we go with them to medical appointments if they're not capable to go alone. Psychological support. And obviously social work goes into different areas. We also have a clinic where we have a GP coming a few hours a week, and my background is psychology, so together we try with our limited resources and funds to give a multidisciplinary approach in supporting these residents.
I enjoy it here very much because I used to work with people in their private homes. I used to be a family doctor, and I consider the migrants now as my family patients. And when I used to work in family practice, I used to be a member of the family, and now I am a member of the migrant community. The migrants that come to me are screened together with the social work office, and as a team we work together. We refer patients one to each other and manage to get the best treatment for all of them.
This is very important for the people because just giving them a bed is not enough, so they appreciate a lot this. They still come back to thank us. Sometimes have to help them get a job. So these things give them, even when we do festivals here, for example, they appreciate that we try, and some football activities, even though we're limited in staff and in funds, we try to fit in these activities as well, so that while they don't find a job, at least they can, fill their time, forget their worries a bit, and then focus on the needs they have, which are various, as we were saying.
The next thing that we had to tackle was the living quarters, that is, the dormitories and the showers and toilets. The immediate attention of the foundation was to provide a dignified living environment for the residents. And thus we had to look at the overcrowding issue, the issue of broken lockers, the issue of broken windows. And therefore we had to provide a reorganization of the bedrooms and sometimes reducing the larger dormitories into smaller manageable living quarters for the residents. And then we had to also look at the renovation of the toilets and showers and providing new toilets and new showers for the residents. As a foundation, we believed that in providing these basic needs, we did not only affirm our belief in the human dignity, but we also provided our residents with the tools for their self-empowerment and their integration into society in general.